it's practice, it's time, it's discipline. You can do it. We've all fallen off the wagon. We've all fallen off the horse. We've all gone bankrupt. And they don't see that. And when I started opening up about that, because there's such a stigma around being an alcoholic. There's such a stigma about losing a business. There's a stigma about having a failed marriage, which, by the way, I've got. And when I opened up about that, you kind of become bulletproof. There's nothing to take you down because it's all out there in public. And people respond better to you. And I wasn't trying to be a coach. I wasn't trying to be a consultant. I wasn't trying to do any of that. I was just trying to open up and let business owners know that, hey, it's okay to have failed. It's okay to have had alcohol problems. Hey, if you've still got them, we can help you get past that. It's okay to have been to jail. What you did mattered then. It doesn't matter now. Let's take the next steps. And that's where it began. And dude, it's just resonated so much with people.
Samuel, you're a musician, real estate agent, entrepreneur, host of the Small Business Surgeon podcast. Much, much more, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, Erik. This has been too long coming, brother.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
How many times we reschedule this one?
I know, right? Dude, I feel like it was too many for sure, man. I'm glad that we finally got to connect. With my shows, I like to kind of go back to the beginning, kind of set the tone there. Like, where did you grow up and what was childhood like for you?
Oh, dude, it was so good. We were poor and I didn't know it. I had no clue. I grew up in a tiny little village in northern England, probably about 150 people there. And, my mom stayed home with the kids and my dad was a school teacher and there was 4 of us. We grew all our own food in the garden. They'd go to the farmer and get some chickens and pluck the chickens, pluck the pheasants. I mean, it was like, I didn't realize I was poor until we got to high school. My childhood was that good. I mean, wow. Everything was hand-me-down clothes, hand-me-down bikes, hand-me-down everything, but it was great. I wish I could give it to my kids, that kind of childhood, man. And really, really blessed.
And then how did you get into music? Because I assume you probably started early, right? Like, when did you start playing music, and who was that big musical influence for you?
Dude, so we were so broke. My dad would fix cars on the weekends for extra money. He would sell cars and stuff like that. And somebody part exchanged a car for a drum set because they were a broke musician and needed a car. So my dad played accordion in bands, and then he showed up with his drum set when I was like 6 years old. And my favorite thing to do was get little pieces of orange and smash them between the hi-hat on my foot.
That's awesome.
I've been around music since I was just a little kid, and music was free entertainment. So for the sake of a piano that somebody was throwing away, that my dad hauled out of a dumpster, essentially, we had a piano at the house. We had a drum set at the house, and you can always pick out a tune on a piano. So it was our entertainment. We only had one TV. We weren't like super rich or anything. So my entertainment was books or pianos. And my first musical influences were all of my older sister's influences, like Del Shannon and the 50s and 60s kind of crooners and stuff. Yeah. And then I got over that pretty quickly and discovered Queen and Led Zeppelin.
Nice. Right.
And that led to obviously, I got chosen to go to a music program on weekends when I was 12 years old, and of course that totally ruined it for me, because everybody was like, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to go to a music program," and I'm like, "What the hell? I got to go to school on the weekends too." Right. So every weekend through high school, I went to this music center, and I ended up 19 years old with a band in Dallas. It was a long story on how I got there, but they got me out to Dallas, and I started working and touring with a band at 19. And I liked America so much, and I liked the girl I was seeing so much that a couple of years later, I ended up emigrating, and here I am. That's kind of how I got to America. It was all music based, from just growing up around, having a drum set around, having a piano around, and just learning to play.
Dude, that is unbelievable. I was going to ask you, like, how did you come to the U.S. and when did you do that, man? So that's
I was a kid, dude. I planned on being here like for 6 to 9 months. When we talked to the record company, the goal was 6-month tour, see how it goes, maybe extend it out a little bit. And you know, it ended up like I loved it so much. The thing between England and America, and I really don't wish to be detrimental to my adopted country because I do love it here.
Yeah.
The big thing that jumps out to me between England and America was in England, everybody at the time had a side hustle. You know, that wasn't uncommon. Everybody was doing a little bit extra. Everybody did a bit. And in America, when I got here as a 19-year-old kid that wasn't afraid to work, there was just money just literally laying on the street. You could, if you were willing to work, you could get paid, you could make money. And, you know, I didn't have any college education. And there's a long story of how I got there, but I ended up in oil and gas law. And my first year, I broke 100,000 with my company. I was 27 years old. And then that was it. I was trapped here because I was willing to work. I wanted to put the effort in. I couldn't go home with no college degree and make £100,000 in a year because so many people already have a side hustle. So many other people are doing other stuff. Whereas, again, not to be detrimental to my adopted country, I do absolutely love it here.
Yeah.
The opportunity in this country is just laying on the ground, man. All you got to do is just pick it up. There's so much more opportunity here than in Europe. So I ended up staying. It wasn't my plan. I kind of feel bad for my parents. You know, they raised me till 19, and I just fuck off over to America, and that's that. You know? I felt a little bad. They come and visit. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Man, what, dude, it's unbelievable, man. And like, I worked in the music business for a little bit. I worked for Universal Records back in 2003, and I don't know how to play anything, but I was very interested in the kind of the producer side and the sales side and the marketing side of it. And so I was literally working at a CD store when they had them called FYE. And this guy walked in, he worked for Universal Records. And I jokingly said, like, hey man, how do I get your job? And he's like, oh, you got to go intern with these guys. And then, so like I went and I had to pay for a college internship, which I never went to. I just paid for it, took my receipt to Universal Records and said, hey, I'm interested in coming and interning with you. And then I got in and I got no pay for 6 months, man. I just showed up every day, stuffing posters and things and then sending them out, man. And then after 6 months, they're like, okay, we'll finally start paying you. So I got paid, man. And then I was there for about a year and got laid off, but right around the Napster days, man. And,
Yeah.
Oh, just killed it. Dude,
I think the reason that guys like you and I succeed is because nobody told us we can't. Nobody told you you couldn't go and work in the music industry. You just went and did it, you know. And that's a lesson I like to take away is that like you can do anything. Just don't listen to anybody else. Just go do it. Make it happen.
Yep. Yeah. So how did you make the transition then to real estate? Because that's what you're doing now. And how is everything going right now? I mean, I know up here where I'm at in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, it's nuts. Like we can't even afford a house up here because all these out-of-staters, Californians especially, are coming up here and they're jacking our price up. They're paying cash for all the houses, right?
Yep.
And my buddy who did real estate or does real estate, he said 80% of his clients in 2020 were from out of state. Like, how's that going for you down there?
Same. It's so strange. It's not like any market I've worked in before. And you know, I've been involved in real estate. I bought my first flip house when I was 24. Again, underdog story, man. I was painting houses, getting a little side jobs to get by, picking up the opportunity that was laying on the ground that I could do with the skill sets I had. And there was an old guy who would come on the infomercials late at night. His name was Carlton Sheets, and he had this no money down real estate course. And I called up there to get it. It was like $1,000, and I couldn't afford that. And I kind of gave up. And one day I was at Goodwill, and this course was brand new in a plastic wrap on the shelf of Goodwill for $10. So about 3 months later, I bought my first house with no money down. No clue what I was doing. I'm so lucky I didn't lose my shirt. I had a fucking course. I had some worksheets. I had to go to Walmart to buy a cassette player because I didn't own a cassette player. It was that out of date. And somehow it worked, dude. And that was kind of how I got into real estate. You know, my career, a few years of flipping houses, and you're working with bands. I mean, I was still well into music till my late 20s. But you know, real estate kind of started to take over in my mid 20s, and I ended up going into title, which is it's the transactional paperwork behind the real estate. It's the legal paperwork.
Gotcha.
And figuring out the ownership. And I got certified in oil and gas title and started traveling around Texas, taking properties essentially from like prospect all the way through to production in the oil and gas field. And I don't know what oil and gas is like up there, if there really is much of a market for it where you're at, but it's very cyclical. It's oil and gas, very dependent on administrations, who's in power, who's doing what. Like for example, currently, Biden and that pipeline and all those layoffs, the gas prices start to move. So I wanted something a bit more stable, and I googled how to make money online in 2008, and that led me down the rabbit hole of affiliate marketing, internet marketing, and all that stuff. And we can talk about that later if you want. But I ended up in 2017 being hired by a real estate company to teach their agents marketing, and I saw such a massive skills gap. I'm like, these guys don't. We're not even ready to talk about tracking pixels. We're not even ready to talk about email lists. They have no concept of a landing page, nothing. And I'm like, wow. At that point, I had about 11, 12 years active in oil and gas law, which is extremely similar to real estate law. They're based out of the same vein, and it made sense for me to go get a license. And my first year in real estate sales, I hit very nearly $250,000 in commission income. And wow. So I was, and it was natural to do it. So that's how I got into real estate. And now my journey's a little bit different, because I set out with a goal in real estate of building a 40 or a 58 agent brokerage. And in 2019 I tried that. I got to 6 agents. I had 19 listings personally, and I didn't like it, didn't enjoy it. It was just too much stress for not enough money. So now I do things slightly differently. I focus more on, I still do residential real estate. Organically, I'll probably close 20 to 25 deals this year organically without really doing anything except hanging out on Facebook.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's not really my focus, but I've got a reputation. People know that's what I do. I don't take house listings anymore. I don't solicit listings. If somebody comes to me and says, "Will you sell my house?" Absolutely, of course I will, no problem. But for the amount of time you put in versus the amount of money you put in versus the amount you get out, listings, you make about 60% of the money as you do when you're working with buyers. When you're working with buyers, zero property marketing costs, no photography, no video, no nothing. You just sit with the buyers, drink coffee, you guide them through the process, and the amount of time with a buyer is generally, now I've got it. I've got front end staff, I've got back end staff, so my amount of time with a buyer is 8 to 10 hours for an average of $7,000 commission. So I can make between $600, $700, $800 an hour when I'm face to face with these guys, and that's really all I want. It's a perfect stress-free life. I don't see building a 50 agent brokerage as a priority anymore. It's funny how that's changed, because I got the mentality that I want to get out in front of everything, smash everybody, and beat all these records and be the best. But what's best for me is drinking coffee with clients and podcasting, and spending time with my kids. The real quality of life. So it's strange how that's changed.
Yeah, I mean, priorities change for sure, man, over the years, and same for me, man. Like, that was kind of how it was. Like, I had this dream of being in the music business, and that kept going away, and I was like, all right, well, hey, now it's time to leave a different legacy for my kids, man. We'll get into it later on your show, but like, obviously I came from that crazy broken home, and
dude, I read your story, man, and I do follow you online. You've got a crazy history, and to be where you are right now is just a tremendous fucking accomplishment, man. Well, no doubt.
I appreciate it, man. Absolutely, dude. In kind of staying with real estate, one other question that I love to ask is like I said, up here, the prices are crazy. In being in real estate, do you see this as like a bubble, and will it burst at all, or is this just going to keep going up for a while?
Yeah. This is a tricky one, because this isn't being caused by economics. It's being caused by migration for the most part. It's being caused by government policies forcing migration. So that is a tricky one. In open markets where people are being treated much more as individuals, and businesses are being allowed to operate freely, I see those guys just booming and not stopping. This again, it's not being driven by economic factors as much as it's being driven by social factors, and people leaving states and coming to states. So as we see in massive demand and massive growth in some states, we must also be seeing massive withdrawals in other states. Look at the number of moving trucks that are coming out of California and moving trucks that are coming out of New York, their prices certainly aren't going up. You know, there's no real estate boom going on over there. So yeah, it's not like a nationwide real estate boom or we'll see a nationwide recession. I don't think. I think this is very much geographically dependent on the kind of socioeconomic situation that we're seeing with COVID more than anything. So, I don't see a massive bust, mate. I don't. I think that states are gonna start going out of fashion. I mean, it just. How else can it play out, dude? I can't go to work in California. I can't go to a restaurant in New York, but fucking Texas is wide open. Florida's wide open. What the hell am I doing paying state income tax over here in California where I can not do any work? I mean, it's absolutely insane. You couldn't have made this up 18 months ago and have anybody believe you. They'd have been like, nah, you're crazy.
Totally.
But yeah, the freer states, I don't like freer, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
The states that are open for business and the states that are kind of standing up to the federal guidelines that are coming out, and all that stuff, the states that are saying, you know what, it's our right, it's our responsibility, we'll manage this. Yep. Those guys are the ones that are going to have the economic booms, and then they look at the tax deficit. And they go, you know what, fuck it, we're going to legalize marijuana as well. I mean, could you imagine that?
Right.
Like, Texas and Florida, full-on legal weed states, plus the exodus from the other states. I mean, the economy's going to go nowhere but up out here. I don't see a recession coming. I think I was talking to one, I forget who it was last month. He's up in the DFW areas, a mortgage guy. So he had over 400,000 new people moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the last year. Like the infrastructure can't keep up. It's growing so fast.
Wow.
To put it in perspective, I've been selling real estate nearly 4 years now. And in 4 years, I sold one new house. And the last 6 houses I've sold since January, 5 of them have been new houses.
Okay.
There's no inventory kicking about.
Yeah.
I think Greater Austin has fewer than 600 houses on the market total.
Yikes.
Like Greater Austin, like all of Austin, Pflugerville, like Round Rock, all of it. It's unbelievable. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think Texas is going anywhere but up.
Yeah. It's like up here, man. We're wide open too. We're kind of like, what the hell is COVID? I mean, we're just like, no one wears masks. Like, there's one place up here that makes you wear a mask, and it's freaking Costco, which they're based out of Seattle, which is the freaking, liberal area like crazy. And so they're the only ones in town that are making everybody wear masks. But up here, we're seeing this, massive growth. Like I said, 80% of people coming into town are from out of state, right? I think last I checked, there was like 320 listings in Coeur D'Alene where I'm at right now, available, which is, it's nuts. And we're a smaller town, right? I think when I moved here, we were at 45,000 maybe population, but that's crazy growth right now. And, but I wanted to shift over to your podcast because I love your podcast, man. It's the Small Surgeon Business Podcast. And you talk about the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, man. And people need to be listening to this show. If you're listening to this show right now, you need to go check out this Small Business Surgeon show.
Dude.
It's awesome. Why did you decide to start this? I mean, you kind of talked earlier, like you had a second podcast and you kind of relaunched, right?
Yeah, well, I've been podcasting for about 3.5 years, but it was always something we did with a couple of my buddies that was just for a bit of fun. Yeah. We do it every Sunday night. We smoke a cigar and just recap the week. And then we bring in a business owner and talk about business. So we bring in actually an MMA fighter and we talk about MMA because I got punched in the face a few times myself in the cage,
That's awesome.
But it's when in December I linked up with Zach Babcock, that some of you probably know by now. Yep. And we sat down and I looked, how can I build a podcast that really monetizes what I do, but more importantly than that, reflects my core values and helps me give back and put back into the community. And what had happened through no intent of mine whatsoever, I was working with one of the coaches over at Apex. They told me, go ahead and set up a Facebook group, something you're passionate about, and let's use that group to build referrals in real estate. Okay, well, I love small business, dude. I've built 2 7-figure companies, right? The first one I built, it was a car dealership. We'd end up right around 25 cars a month, give or take 20, 30, somewhere in there. And, I couldn't get it above about 5% ROI, which meant like a shitload of work and not much money in my pocket.
Yeah.
And so, I sold that and I put my money, I kept working on online marketing and I ended up owning a supplement brand. And that made so much money so quickly. I was a very poor steward of that. I did not have coaches. I did not have an accountability system. I didn't have anything going on. And, without getting too much into the weeds with this, I was spending whatever I liked and drinking whatever I liked, and it all ended up spiraling out of control, and I ended up losing that business. And along with all the money I'd saved from it, along with even more than that, and a couple of lawsuits down the line for some other stuff too. And it was bad, but it was alcohol based. I mean, there's a reason that lesson was there. And so I love to talk about small business, and I set up a business owners group purely so I could get in there, I could help them with some marketing stuff, just light stuff, super easy. Hey, here's a traffic funnel, whatever. Here's how this works, and be the resource, the go-to resource for real estate. That was the goal of the business, and the small business surgeon podcast wasn't even a thought. But as these business owners came to me as a leader, and they would tell me their problems and they would ask for advice, I noticed that 10% of owning a business is the operations. It's the skill set. It's 10% of owning a painting company is being a painter. 10% of owning a legal company is being an attorney. The other 90% is all the same. Everybody has got the same problems, and I realized that by having had two businesses that were quite large, and having made a lot of money and also lost a lot of money, and having been an alcoholic and now sober for almost 4 years, not quite, but getting there.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, bud. If you're wondering how to do it, one day at a time. That's how I did it. Just one freaking day at a time. And sometimes you think life might be a little more fun with it with a little alcohol, but it's I've drank enough for 3 lifetimes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, for sure.
So the goal was in talking to business owners. When you got a chamber of commerce kind of deal, everybody's wearing the suit. Everybody's kind of, I'm a little bit better than you. And then when you've got the Association of Realtors, no disrespect to these guys, they're all trying to put their best foot forward and show a little success here. But it's all kind of, I'm better than you, I'm a little more successful than you. Whereas when you really boil down to it, like there was nowhere locally for people to go and say, man, I fucked up, I'm a mess, I'm in trouble, what do I do? How can I help? Because they get around other business owners, and all those other business owners are posturing and saying, I'm successful. Whereas, I learned this when I got around the Apex group in Dallas, is that, every single business owner that I've come across and I've worked with and I've talked to, they've all had some kind of problem. They've all been to jail, or they've all been alcoholics, or they've all had drug problems, or they've all had abusive relationships in their past. Most of them have all lost a business or two businesses. Most of them have gone bankrupt. And all the stuff you never hear. So when I talk to business owners, they think they're out there alone and they're struggling to get through this. I'm like, dude, you are not alone. Let's reach out to this guy. Let's reach out to this guy and move them into a network, and you work with them. And they realize that everybody they perceive as more successful than them has fought the same battles, and we're all on the same side. I've got people look up to me and like, oh my God, you're doing so well. You're so successful. I'm like, no, it's not that at all. It's practice, it's time, it's discipline. You can do it. We've all fallen off the wagon. We've all fallen off the horse. We've all gone bankrupt. And they don't see that. And when I started opening up about that, because there's such a stigma around being an alcoholic. There's such a stigma about losing a business. There's a stigma about having a failed marriage, which, by the way, I've got. And when I opened up about that, you kind of become bulletproof. There's nothing can take you down because it's all out there in public. And people respond better to you. And I wasn't trying to be a coach. I wasn't trying to be a consultant. I wasn't trying to do any of that. I was just trying to open up and let business owners know that, hey, it's okay to have failed. It's okay to have had alcohol problems. Hey, if you've still got them, we can help you get past that. It's okay to have been to jail. What you did mattered then. It doesn't matter now. Let's take the next steps. And that's where it began. And dude, it's just resonated so much with people. We've published 15 episodes now. I've got about 25 of them recorded. Obviously, we go a little bit further out ahead. And I have people approaching me now to be on the show. I have people that I respect, that I look up to, that are reaching out to me and saying, hey, can I get on your show? Can I tell my story? And dude, it was a complete accident that was born by wanting to give back to a group of people with a shared interest. That's all it was.
Come on, man. I'm a big proponent in understanding that our past does not define our future. You know, like, you know, I'm 41 now. I didn't share my story publicly until I was 39. I held into that crap and I was like, dude, my past, this is just life. I can't make any changes. I went with that and it's going to sit on my shoulders, man. But then once at 39, I was like, boom, screw this. It's a new day, man. Starting to get rid of that, dude.
I'm sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, man, I know we're coming up on time, so I want to make sure that we're keeping you on time. And I apologize, we'll probably go over just a couple minutes over. I would love to know, like, what's your definition of success?
Oh wow, it's so cool. It's whatever you want it to be, man. It really is. So I'm very much like I said earlier, like I want to go get everything and be like the best and the best and the best and the best. And I was sitting outside my office a couple of days ago. I post pictures from there every morning talking about what I'm doing, what I'm grateful for. And I'm like, right, what's next? And I have a business plan for this year, both personally for me and for the companies that I own as well. There's a couple of new company launches coming up that I built them last year, and we were just waiting for funding from some real estate deals that are fixing to close. Everything's looking good. And I'm like, well, what's next? And I'm like, well, maybe nothing. Maybe you just keep doing what you're doing, because success now is me sitting at 8:30 in the morning with a client, having a coffee, mapping out their latest sales video. And then it's sitting with a client at 9:30, helping them rework the menu for their restaurant, and make sure the graphic design's right, make sure everything looks right. Dude, maybe success is, you know, sitting around a table with a group of guys, helping one of them overcome his drinking, you know? And once you get to the point where the bills are okay, and the debit card's okay, and the kids are okay, the rent's okay, I think that success is much different now that I feel it and that I have it in my hands than what I had envisioned. And yes, there's going to be a point where I go down to the car dealership and I buy a stupid car here in the next couple of years. Yeah, sure there is. Yeah. But for me, success is now much more emotionally attached to the things that I'm doing. And it's essentially, it's getting to do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want to do it. And all I want to do is work with business owners, work with real estate clients, and just spread joy around, man. Make the world a little better place. And I consider that to be, you know, what I want it to be. And I know it's not a financial goal. It's not a vehicle goal. It's not any kind of goal other than being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and make a difference in people's lives.
Freedom, man.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
I never thought I'd say that. You know, I'm a success. That's a Ferrari, man. I've had 2 Ferraris.
Yeah. Dude, that's so funny. You know, I'm a big music guy, so I'd love to ask the question, and you being in the music business, I'm really curious about this. Like, well, who's a favorite band for you, or do you have a favorite type of music you like to listen to?
No. Dude, professional working musician. So I could probably sit in on 800 to 1,000 songs right now, just like that.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was Queen.
Okay.
I used to love panning my stereo left, right with Queen. The stuff you can hear if you cut Freddie Mercury's channel out, you cut those lead vocals out, the stuff going on in the background. Queen is like, it's a good novel. And every time you read a good novel, you find something new in the book.
Yeah.
Queen's like that. I can't listen to a Queen song still and not hear something new or hear a new angle on it and stuff. And so it would have to be all-time favorite band, Queen. However, boy, there's just hundreds and hundreds of bands and songs. I've been a musician. I mean, I play a piano bar now, which is I do a couple of songs on piano, but I'm mainly on the drums, and it's 100% request. And the fact that, you know, we can just literally launch into any of hundreds of songs, I love it all, dude. Blues Brothers, you know, favorite movie right there, all the way through. I mean, just so much stuff, man. You can't pick a favorite.
Right.
If you looked at my Spotify playlist, there's everything from gangster rap to Johnny Cash to British rock hits of the 90s. I mean, it's just all over the place, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Samuel, this is such an honor to have you on my show, man. You are a freaking world changer, bro. And I'm excited to see what you got going on with your podcast. And 2021 is going to be just huge blessings on you and your family, man. thank you so much for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Erik, the pleasure has been mine, mate. And yeah, for your listeners that want to check it out, you can catch me on Facebook or Instagram at Small Business Surgeon, and of course over on Apple and Spotify by the same name. Erik, man, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Hey, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. If you've not seen my show or you don't know the services that I offer, I wanted to drop them to you right now. One, I do voiceover work. So if you're looking for a voiceover person to cover your motivational videos, or maybe it's Kickstarter videos or whatever it is, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out there. I also work with brands on brand and product videos. So they'll send me their products to do reviews or box openings. Let me know. I'd love to work with you on your product as well and help you get that product out there. I also love to be able to share my story. So if I can make an impact on one person at your next speaking engagement, let me know. I love to talk about my story. I love to talk about how our past does not define our future, and morning routines and being consistent, how to be around those successful people that are just gonna lift you up. Let's chat about having me speak at your next event. Let's make it happen. Again, thank you so much for checking out this show. Check out erikdalenmedia.com. Really appreciate your time. Have an awesome day.